The text from my mother lit up my phone screen. Stacy, the guest house needs to be cleaned by 5. Mackenzie's new boyfriend is moving in temporarily. I stared at those words, feeling that familiar knot in my stomach. At 29 years old, I was still being treated like the family maid. The irony? I owned more properties than anyone knew, but here I was, living in our estate's crumbling guest house, expected to bow and scrape at a moment's notice. "Coming, mother?" I texted back, my fingers trembling slightly. The main house loomed before me, a sprawling colonial that had witnessed 2 decades of my systematic erasure. I could see my mother through the kitchen window, arranging flowers like she was staging a photo shoot. Everything in her world had to be perfect, except me. The back door creaked as I entered. "There you are," my mother said without looking up. "Mackenzie and Cody will be here soon. I need you to make sure everything's spotless." "The guest house is my home," I said quietly. "Where am I supposed to go?" She finally turned, her perfectly lined lips pursing. "Oh, Stacy, don't be dramatic. You can stay in the basement until they figure out their situation. Mackenzie needs her space." Of course she did. Mackenzie always needed her space, her money, her chances, and I was expected to give up whatever I had to make it happen. "I have work calls tomorrow," I tried explaining. "My business—" "That little online thing you do?" She waved her hand dismissively. "Sweetie, playing around on your laptop isn't a real job. Now, please get started on the cleaning." The front door burst open, and in walked Mackenzie, all designer clothes and practiced laughter. Behind her stood a tall guy with carefully styled hair. Cody, I presumed. "Mom!" Mackenzie squealed, air-kissing our mother's cheeks. "Cody, this is my mother, Evelyn, and that's—" "Oh, Stacy's here too." I nodded at Cody, who barely glanced my way. Typical. "Darling, you look fabulous," our mother gushed. "Those highlights are perfect. Cody, welcome to our home. Stacy was just about to prepare the guest house for you both." "Actually," I started, but Mackenzie cut me off. "Oh my God, you haven't done it yet. Stacy, I told Mom days ago we'd need it." She turned to Cody. "I'm so sorry, baby. My sister can be so lazy sometimes." Days ago? This was the first I'd heard of it. But that's how it always worked. Decisions made about my life without my input, then I'd be blamed for not complying fast enough. My father chose that moment to walk in, newspaper tucked under his arm. "What's the hold-up? Mackenzie needs that guest house ready." "Edward," my mother warned, "your blood pressure." "I'm just saying," he continued. "Stacy lives here rent-free. The least she could do is help her sister." I felt my phone vibrate in my pocket. Probably Terrence checking in. He was the only one who knew what I'd been planning, the only one who understood what was really happening behind the scenes. "I'll get my things," I said quietly, heading for the door. "That's my good girl," my mother called after me. "Always helpful, aren't you, Stacy?" I walked across the manicured lawn to my soon-to-be former home, my hands clenched into fists. They had no idea. None of them did. For years, I'd played the role they cast me in, the quiet one, the helper, the family disappointment, all while building something they couldn't imagine. Inside the guest house, I checked my phone. The message wasn't from Terrence. It was from my lawyer. "Congratulations," it read. "The purchase just closed. You are now the legal owner of 42 Bramble Lane, the Gardner estate." I sat down on my bed, a smile spreading across my face. For years, they'd treated this house like their kingdom, and me like their servant. They had no idea I'd just bought it out from under them through a shell company. No idea that their perfect world was about to shatter. My phone buzzed again. Terrence this time. "Did you get the news? You own their asses now." "Not yet," I texted back. "But soon." I looked out the window at the main house, where my family was probably celebrating Mackenzie's latest achievement, moving in with boyfriend number 6. Let them celebrate. Let them make their plans and demands. They wanted me out of the guest house? Fine. But they had no idea that when I left, I wouldn't be going to the basement. I'd be moving into the main house, and they'd be the ones looking for a new place to live. "Stacy, what happened to your college fund?" Terrence asked, stirring his coffee. We were sitting in his cramped office, surrounded by computer screens displaying property listings. "You never told me the whole story." I traced the rim of my mug, memories flooding back. Mackenzie needed it for her 3rd attempt at starting a business, a boutique that lasted 6 months. "And your parents just gave it to her?" "They said I could always take community college classes online." I laughed bitterly. Meanwhile, Mackenzie got 3 chances at private university before dropping out each time. Terrence shook his head. "That's when you started working on your design website?" "Had to. I was living in their house, watching Mackenzie blow through money while I served drinks at her parties." I pulled up my laptop, showing him my latest project. "But look where that little website got me." The screen displayed my property management portfolio, 12 buildings, all purchased through careful investment of my consulting income. Each one renovated, flipped, or rented for profit. "Speaking of parties," Terrence said, "remember your sister's sweet 16? How could I forget? I'd spent weeks helping my mother plan it, only to end up working in the kitchen all night. The caterers had called in sick, and naturally, I was the solution. "I remember watching through the kitchen door," I said. "Mackenzie got a car. I got an apron and dish soap." My phone buzzed, a text from Antonio Chavez, my first real mentor in real estate. "Kid, just drove by that triplex we talked about. Owner's desperate to sell. You in?" I smiled. Antonio had been the first person to take me seriously when I'd approached him about buying my first property. He'd seen past the quiet girl from the guest house and recognized something else. Raw ambition. "Tell me the number," I texted back. "Your parents still think you just do computer stuff?" Terrence asked, peering at my phone. "Mother called it my little online hobby yesterday. Dad doesn't even ask anymore." I showed him Antonio's text. "They have no idea I'm about to close my 13th property deal." My phone rang, speaking of the devil. "Hello, Mother. Stacy, where are you? The landscapers are here, and someone needs to supervise them. You know how they overcharge if we don't watch them." "I'm in a business meeting." "Oh, honey." She laughed that dismissive laugh I knew so well. "Playing with your website isn't a real meeting. Come home now, please." I caught Terrence's eye as he mouthed, "Playing?" incredulously. "Actually, Mother, Stacy," she cut me off. "Don't be difficult. Oh, and while you're supervising, could you clean the pool? Mackenzie wants to have friends over tonight." I ended the call, my hands shaking. Terrence reached across the desk and grabbed my laptop, typing furiously. "What are you doing?" "Checking something," he muttered. "Holy shit! Stacy, look at this!" He turned the screen toward me. It was a notice of default on the family estate's second mortgage. "Your parents refinanced 6 months ago," he explained. "They've missed 3 payments. The bank's about to foreclose." I stared at the screen, pieces clicking into place. The whispered arguments I'd overheard. Mother's increased anxiety about appearances. Dad's late-night phone calls. "They're broke," I whispered. "Not just broke, they're about to lose everything." Terrence leaned back. "Want to know the best part? The house is going to be listed for silent auction, minimum bid way below market value." My phone buzzed again. Antonio. Got the triplex numbers. Also heard through the grapevine about a certain estate on Bramble Lane hitting the market soon. Interested? I looked at Terrence, who was grinning like a cat who'd found cream. "You thinking what I'm thinking?" he asked. That maybe it's time for the family disappointment to buy the family estate? Through a shell company, of course, he added. They never have to know it's you until you want them to. I stood up, gathering my things. I need to get back. Apparently, I have a pool to clean. You're really going to do their bidding? Even now? I smiled, thinking of the documents in my bag, proof of my secret empire, built one property at a time. For now, let them think I'm still their servant. Let them keep underestimating me. I headed for the door. It'll make it so much sweeter when they realize who their new landlord is. You're scary sometimes, you know that? I learned from the best, I said, thinking of my mother's cold calculations, my father's dismissive authority. They taught me everything about power, by showing me what it feels like to have none. As I drove home, another text came through from Antonio. Just heard. They're listing the house next week. Time to make your move, kid. I smiled, thinking of Mackenzie's upcoming pool party. Let her splash around in the deep end. Soon enough, she'd learn what it feels like to drown. Oaken Vale Properties, I said, testing the name. How does it sound? Perfect, Antonio replied, sliding the LLC paperwork across his desk. Anonymous enough that your family won't connect it to you, professional enough to be taken seriously. I signed where he indicated, each stroke of the pen bringing me closer to my goal. The family estate would be listed tomorrow, and Oaken Vale Properties would be ready with a bid. Remember, Antonio warned, act normal. One slip, and they'll know something's up. As if on cue, my phone rang. Mother calling about Sunday dinner. Perfect timing for my reconnaissance mission. Walking into the main house that evening, I could smell pot roast, Mother's specialty when she wanted something. Mackenzie and Cody were already there, draped across the expensive sofa my parents could no longer afford. Finally, Mother said, emerging from the kitchen. Stacy, set the table, would you? Use the good china. I caught Cody's smirk as I headed to the dining room. He'd been living in my guest house for 2 weeks, treating me with the same condescension my family did. He'd fit right in. Wonderful news, Mother announced once we were seated. We've decided to list the house. Really? I kept my voice neutral, spearing a potato with my fork. Don't worry, darling, she said to Mackenzie, who'd stopped mid-chew. We're only accepting serious offers. This estate is worth millions. We'll find something even better. Dad cleared his throat. Of course, this means changes for everyone. Stacy, you'll need to find your own place. What about me and Cody? Mackenzie demanded. Sweetheart, we'll help you find an apartment, Mother soothed. Unlike some people, you've always had ambition. I nearly choked on my wine. If they only knew about the 3 offers I'd received that week to expand my property management app nationwide. Speaking of ambition, Mackenzie said, my lifestyle blog got 50 new followers today. That's wonderful, honey, Mother beamed. See, Stacy? Your sister understands business. Maybe she could give you tips about your little website. Cody snickered. Yeah, Stace. Need help with your computer stuff? I felt my phone vibrate. Probably Terrence confirming our bid details. Instead of checking it, I smiled sweetly at Cody. How's the guest house working out? I noticed the heating's been temperamental. It's fine, he muttered, but I saw him pull his sweater tighter. After dinner, I volunteered to help Mother with dishes. Another chance to gather intelligence. The realtor's coming tomorrow, she said, handing me a plate to dry. We need the house spotless. I assume you can handle that? Of course. I carefully placed the plate in the cabinet. Any serious interest yet? Several potential buyers. She lowered her voice. But we're being selective. We can't have just anyone taking over the Gardner estate. This house has history. If she only knew its future. My phone buzzed again. This time I checked it. A text from Lisa, Mackenzie's best friend. Hey, weird question. Did your parents really default on their mortgage? Heard rumors. I typed back. No idea. Why? Mackenzie's been asking to crash at my place. Seems worried. Interesting. So my sister knew more than she was letting on. Stacy! Mother's sharp voice cut through my thoughts. Stop texting and finish these dishes. Honestly, you're just like your father's sister. Always distracted, never amounting to much. Ah yes, Aunt Rebecca. The other family disappointment, who'd wasted her potential by becoming a successful artist instead of marrying rich. We weren't allowed to mention her name anymore. Later that night, back in the guest house, I joined a video call with Terence and Antonio. Bids ready, Terence announced. Oakenvale Properties is officially offering 15% above asking price, all cash. They won't be able to resist, Antonio added, especially with their deadline looming. Perfect. I glanced out my window at the main house. How long until they know? That's the beauty part. Terence grinned. The bid's anonymous until closing. They'll be too desperate to ask questions. My phone lit up. Mother again. Don't forget to be up early. Realtors coming at 9. I sent back a simple, okay, before turning to my laptop, pulling up the property listings. There it was. 42 Bramble Lane, the Gardner Estate. Beautiful photos, carefully worded description, no mention of the defaulted mortgage or desperate sellers. You sure about this? Antonio asked quietly. Once you start, there's no going back. Through the window, I could see Mackenzie and Cody in the kitchen, laughing as they raided the fridge. In the living room, Mother arranged flowers while Dad read his paper. My perfect family, in their perfect house, never suspecting that their perfect world was built on quicksand. I'm sure, I said, closing my laptop. Time to show them what their little disappointment can do. My phone pinged one final time. The bid confirmation from our lawyer. Game on. Oakenvale Properties' offer has been accepted, the realtor announced, beaming at my parents across the dining room table. I pretended to dust nearby, catching every word. They're offering a 2-month leaseback option while you find a new place. Mother's perfectly maintained smile cracked slightly. 2 months? But surely with our status in the community. The buyers were quite firm, the realtor said, but they're paying cash, and they've agreed to handle all inspection costs. Dad shuffled the papers, his hands trembling slightly. We'll take it. That night, after everyone went to bed, I used my copy of the house keys, soon to be my only keys, to let myself into the main house. The darkness felt different now. This wasn't my parents' mansion anymore. It was my property. I walked through each room slowly, trailing my fingers along the walls. The living room where Mackenzie had opened countless expensive gifts. The kitchen where I'd prepared countless meals for their parties. The study where Dad had told me community college was more my speed. My phone buzzed. Terence. You inside yet? How's it feel to own the place? Surreal, I texted back. Starting renovations next week. They don't suspect anything. Mother's too busy panicking about finding a new house. Dad's drowning in whiskey. Mackenzie's hunting for rich boyfriends to save her. Speaking of Mackenzie, I heard the front door open. I ducked into the shadows of the study as she and Cody stumbled in from another night out. But baby, Mackenzie whined, why can't we just get our own place? With what money? Cody snapped. Your credit's shot, and I'm not paying for everything. Daddy will help. Your dad's broke, Mac. Everyone knows it. Why do you think they're selling? I smiled in the darkness. Cody wasn't as stupid as he looked. The next morning, I called a contractor recommended by Antonio. The owners approved an inspection of the gas lines and plumbing, I explained, using my most professional voice. I'm their daughter. I'll let you in. Mother was too distracted to question why workmen were examining the house. She just waved them through, focused on her phone calls to real estate agents. "Good bones," the contractor whispered to me in the basement. "But these pipes need updating. Want me to start next week?" I nodded, already planning the renovations that would transform my childhood prison into my victory monument. "Stacy!" Mackenzie's voice shattered my thoughts. "Where are you? I need the guest house keys." I found her in the kitchen, Cody hovering nearby. "Why?" I asked, though I already knew. "Because it's my guest house now," she snapped. "Cody's moving in tomorrow. I need space from all this drama." "You can't just—" "Actually, she can," Dad interrupted, entering the kitchen. "Stacy, you're being selfish. Your sister needs support right now." "Support?" I couldn't help myself. "What about when I needed support? When I wanted to go to college? Start my business?" "That little website isn't a real business," Mother chimed in, appearing like a ghost in the doorway. "Honestly, Stacy, you don't contribute anything to this family. The least you could do is help your sister." I looked at them all. Mother with her practiced concern, Dad with his dismissive authority, Mackenzie with her entitled pout, and Cody with his smug grin. They stood in my kitchen, in my house, making demands. Not for much longer. "You're right," I said quietly. "I think it's time I changed that." "Finally," Mackenzie sighed. "So you'll be out by tomorrow?" "Oh, I'll be making some changes tomorrow," I replied, thinking of the contractors scheduled to start work. "Big changes. What's that supposed to mean?" Mother asked sharply. I just smiled and headed for the door. Behind me, I heard Cody whisper to Mackenzie, "Your sister's weird." Back in the guest house, I called Terrence. "Time to start phase 2. Get the paperwork ready." "The eviction notices?" "Not yet. First, I want to renovate every inch of this place. New pipes, new wiring, new everything." "While they're still living there? That's deliciously evil." "They wanted changes," I said, watching through my window as Mackenzie and Cody loaded shopping bags into her car. More things she couldn't afford. "I'm just giving them what they asked for." My phone buzzed with a text from Mother. "Don't forget to clean the guest house before you leave. Mackenzie deserves a fresh start." I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my laptop and pulled up the property deed. My name hidden behind layers of LLC paperwork, but there nonetheless. Owner of 42 Bramble Lane. Soon, they'd learn what a fresh start really looked like. And it wouldn't be anything like they imagined. "I've called a family meeting," I announced, standing in the living room doorway. My heart was pounding, but my voice remained steady. "Now isn't a good time," Mother said, not looking up from her magazine. "We're dealing with the house situation." "That's exactly what this is about." Something in my tone made them all look up. Dad lowered his newspaper. Mackenzie stopped texting. Even Cody, who'd been playing on his phone, sensed the shift in the air. "Fine," Dad sighed. "Make it quick." I walked to the antique coffee table, my table now, and placed down a manila envelope. "What's that?" Mother asked, her perfectly plucked eyebrows drawing together. "The truth." I pulled out the deed to 42 Bramble Lane and laid it on the table. "About the new owner of this house." Mackenzie snorted. "Why do we care about some investment company?" "Oakenvale Properties isn't just some investment company." I met each of their eyes in turn. "It's mine." Silence. Then laughter. Sharp, dismissive laughter from my mother. "Don't be ridiculous, Stacy. This isn't time for jokes." "I'm not joking." I pulled out more papers. Bank statements, LLC documents, property portfolios. "I own this house. All of it, including the guest house you're so desperate to take from me." Dad grabbed the papers, his face reddening as he read. "This isn't possible. You don't have this kind of money." "That little website you mocked? It's worth 7 figures. I've been buying properties for years. This is just my latest acquisition. You're lying! Mackenzie shrieked, jumping up. Tell her, Mum! Tell her she's lying! Mother snatched the papers from Dad. Her hands trembled as she read, her face growing paler by the second. This is a prank, she whispered. It has to be. Would you like to call the lawyer or the bank? I pulled out my phone. I have them on speed dial. Cody stood up slowly, backing away from Mackenzie. I should go. You can't do this, Dad roared, standing up. We're your family. Family? I laughed, a cold, hard sound that surprised even me. Was I family when you gave my college fund to Mackenzie? When you made me work as your maid? When you dismissed every achievement, every dream I had? We gave you everything. Mother's voice rose hysterically. A home, food, clothes. You gave me scraps, I cut her off. And now the scraps own the table. I reached into the envelope one last time and pulled out 4 identical documents. What are those? Mackenzie asked, her voice small. Eviction notices. Legal, formal, and very much binding. You have 30 days. You wouldn't dare, Mother whispered. I already have. I placed a notice in front of each of them. You can fight it, but my lawyers are better than any you can afford right now. We both know why. Dad's face had turned purple. You ungrateful little... Careful, I interrupted. Is that any way to talk to your landlord? Mackenzie burst into tears. Where are we supposed to go? Not my problem. I turned to Cody. You're not on the lease, so you need to be out by tomorrow. He was already grabbing his jacket. Way ahead of you. Mackenzie, don't call me. Cody, wait! Mackenzie chased after him as he headed for the door. Mother's perfectly maintained facade finally cracked. You can't do this to us. We're your parents. You stopped being parents the day you decided I wasn't worth loving. I gathered the remaining papers. Check your emails. The formal notices have already been sent to your lawyers. Edward, Mother pleaded, do something. Dad stood there, papers crumpled in his fist, face red with impotent rage. For the first time in my life, I saw him speechless. I'll be moving into the main house next week, I continued. The contractors start tomorrow. Try not to get in their way. Contractors? Mother's voice rose another octave. What contractors? This place needs updating. New pipes, new wiring, new everything. I smiled. Don't worry, I won't charge you for the improvements. Just make sure you're gone in 30 days. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Mother? Those roses you planted last spring? They're coming up beautifully. I think I'll keep them. Unlike some things in this house, they actually add value. I walked out, leaving them in stunned silence. Through the window, I could see Mackenzie chasing Cody's car down the driveway. Mother had collapsed onto the sofa, her perfect posture finally broken. Dad stood frozen, still clutching the eviction notice. My phone buzzed. Terence. Did you do it? It's done, I texted back. They know. How do you feel? I looked back at the house, my house now. Years of pain, of dismissal, of quiet rage, all leading to this moment. I feel, I typed, like I finally came home. Stacy, please, Mother cornered me in the kitchen 3 days after the revelation. We can work something out. You've made your point. I continued measuring the countertops for replacement, ignoring her perfectly practiced pleading voice. I raised you, she pressed on. I gave you everything. You gave me orders, I corrected, jotting down measurements, and criticism, and constant reminders of my place in this family. That's not true. I always what? I turned to face her. Always made me serve at Mackenzie's parties? Always blamed me for Dad's moods? Always told me I wasn't trying hard enough, even when I was breaking myself to meet your standards? The contractor cleared his throat from the doorway. Ms. Gardner, we need your approval on the new fixtures. Mother flinched at hearing them address me with her title. "I'll be right there," I said, watching her face crumble further. "You can't just erase 30 years of family," she whispered. "You're right, but I can remodel it." I left her standing in the kitchen we'd both spent countless hours in, her directing, me serving. The roles had finally reversed. In the foyer, I found Dad on his phone, speaking in hushed, angry tones. "Listen, there must be something we can do legally. Yes, I understand it was a legitimate sale, but—" He saw me and quickly ended the call. "Your lawyers are thorough," he admitted grudgingly. "I learned from you, Dad. Always protect your interests, right?" His face reddened. "I taught you business sense, and this is how you repay us? No, you taught Mackenzie business sense. You taught me to serve quietly and expect nothing." I gestured to the workers installing new light fixtures. "Looks like I learned a different lesson instead." A shriek from upstairs interrupted us. Mackenzie came storming down, her face streaked with tears. "They're touching my things!" she wailed. "Mom, they're packing up my room!" "The movers are professionals," I explained calmly. "They're cataloguing everything before the renovation starts on the upper floor." "You can't just—" "I can, and I am." I checked my watch. "You have 27 days left, by the way." Lisa, Mackenzie's best friend, chose that moment to arrive. She took in the scene, workers everywhere, boxes stacked in corners, my family's shocked faces. "Oh my God," she breathed. "The rumors are true. You really did it." "Lisa!" Mackenzie ran to her friend. "Tell her she can't do this. Tell her—" "Actually," Lisa cut her off, "I came to talk to Stacy." She turned to me. "Can we speak privately?" In the study, my study now, Lisa didn't waste time. "They're planning something. Mackenzie called me last night drunk, talking about damaging the house before leaving." I smiled. "I know. That's why I hired security." I nodded toward the window, where a private security car sat in the driveway. "They're watching 24/7. "Smart," Lisa admitted. "Look, I know we were never close, but what they did to you all these years, it wasn't right. Why are you telling me this?" "Because Mackenzie was awful to me too. She just hid it better." Lisa stood to leave. "Just watch your back. Your mom's not done trying to manipulate this situation." After Lisa left, I found Mother in the living room, staring at old family photos. "Remember this one?" she asked softly. "Your 10th birthday." I did remember. I'd spent it serving cake at Mackenzie's dance recital. "The past is the past," I said firmly. "You have less than a month to find a new place to make memories." "We could make new memories here," she tried one last time. "Together, as a family." The time for that was 20 years ago. I handed her a real estate listing. "There's a nice townhouse available, within your new budget." She dropped the photo, glass cracking as it hit the floor. "You really hate us that much?" "Hate requires emotion," I replied. "This is just business, like Dad always taught me." My phone buzzed. Antonio checking on the renovation progress. Mother watched me answer it, realization dawning on her face. "All those times you were playing on your laptop. I was building an empire." I stepped over the broken frame, one property at a time. "While serving us coffee," she whispered, "while watching and learning." I headed for the door. "The contractors need decisions on the master bathroom tiles. I'm thinking of gutting the whole thing." "That bathroom is historic." "Was historic," I corrected. "Like your authority in this house." I left her there, surrounded by broken glass and fading memories, and went to approve the demolition plans. Through the window, I could see Mackenzie in the driveway, screaming at another departing boyfriend's car. Some things never changed. But this house was about to change everything. The moving truck idled in the driveway on the final day. Mother stood in the foyer, clutching her designer handbag like a shield, watching as workers carried out the last of their furniture. "The townhouse is smaller than we're used to," she said, her voice thin and brittle. "You'll adjust." I checked items off my clipboard, like I adjusted to the guest house. "Is this what this is all about? Revenge?" "No, Mother. This is about consequences." Dad appeared from his study, my study now, carrying a box of his prized golf trophies. "Everything we did was for this family?" he growled. "No," I corrected him. "Everything you did was for Mackenzie. I was just the help." As if summoned, Mackenzie stumbled down the stairs, mascara streaked across her face. "I can't find my pearl necklace." "The one you got for your sweet 16? I asked innocently. "While I got dish duty? You took it?" "Check the inventory list. Everything's accounted for." I turned to the security guard. "Please escort Ms. Mackenzie to her remaining boxes." "You can't treat me like this," Mackenzie shrieked. "I'm your sister." "Funny. That's not how you introduced me to your friends. What was it you always said? Oh, that's just Stacy." Mother stepped forward, trying one last time. "Darling, please. We can fix this. Family counseling, perhaps. We'll do better." "Better?" I laughed. "You had 30 years to do better. Now you have 30 minutes to clear out." "You heartless," Dad started, but Mother grabbed his arm. "Edward, don't. The lawyers said we can't risk any confrontation." I checked my watch. 29 minutes. They moved like sleepwalkers, gathering their last possessions. The security team watched every move, making sure nothing was damaged or stolen. My family, the perfect, prestigious family, reduced to supervised evacuation. Terrence arrived as they were loading the final boxes. "Need moral support?" "Just witnessing," I replied. "Make sure everything's documented." He whistled low, watching Mother direct the movers with trembling hands. "Your mom's taking it harder than I expected." "She's not taking it hard. She's acting hard. There's a difference." Right on cue, Mother turned to me with tears in her eyes. "Stacy, please, one more month, just until we find somewhere more suitable." "The townhouse is perfectly suitable," I said. "I should know. I own that building too." Her eyes widened. "What?" "Oaken Vale Properties has quite a portfolio. You'll be paying rent to me there as well." I smiled. "Don't worry, I gave you the family discount." "You calculated everything," Dad said, finally understanding. "All these years. I learned from the best. Isn't that what you always wanted?" Mackenzie emerged from the house one last time, carrying her designer purse. "I left some things upstairs." "No, you didn't." I handed her a final inventory sheet. "Everything's been packed and logged. Sign here." "You're really going through with this," she whispered, signing with shaking hands. "Did you really think I wouldn't?" The security guard approached. "Ma'am, the house is clear. All items accounted for." I nodded. "Change the locks." "Stacy," Mother tried one final time. "We're still your parents." "No," I said quietly. "You're my tenants, and your lease here is up." They stood in the driveway, Mother, Dad, and Mackenzie, watching as the locks were changed on their perfect family home. Their perfect life. Their perfect lie. "The townhouse keys are with the property manager," I told them. "Don't be late with rent. I'm not as forgiving as your previous landlords." Dad helped Mother into their car, not the luxury sedan anymore, but a modest used model. Mackenzie climbed into the back, not looking at anyone. As they pulled away, Mother rolled down her window. For a moment, I saw something real in her eyes. Not manipulation, not performance, but genuine pain. "Was anything ever enough?" she asked. "You never gave me the chance to find out." The car disappeared down the driveway. Terrence squeezed my shoulder. You okay? I looked up at the house. My house now. Workers were already installing the new security system. Tomorrow, the real renovations would begin. I'm not sure okay is the right word, I said. Regrets? No. I walked up the front steps, pulling out my new keys, just wondering what took me so long. Inside, the house felt different. Emptier, yes, but also lighter. Like a weight had been lifted. Or maybe that was just me. My phone buzzed. A text from Lisa. They just arrived at the townhouse. Your mum's already complaining about the size of the closets. I smiled, walking into what used to be my parents' bedroom. The renovation plans called for turning it into a home office. My office. Some people never change, I texted back. But some things do. And this house? This was just the beginning. The doorbell rang as I finished hanging the last painting in my renovated living room. Through the security camera, I saw Lisa standing on my front porch, clutching her phone. You need to see this, she said when I opened the door, thrusting her phone at me. It showed Mackenzie's latest social media post, a long, dramatic rant about family betrayal and karmic justice. She still doesn't get it, Lisa said, following me inside. She's playing victim while living in a townhouse most people would kill for. How are they adjusting? Your mom's taken up meditation. Lisa laughed. Says it helps her process the trauma of downsizing. Your dad barely leaves their unit. And Mackenzie? Still job hunting? Actually, she's working as a receptionist. First real job she's ever had. I nodded, arranging fresh flowers in a vase, not my mother's precious roses, but wildflowers from the local market. Good for her. That's it? No satisfaction in their suffering? Their suffering was never the point. I gestured around the transformed space. This was. The house barely resembled its former self. Gone were the stuffy antiques and pretentious artwork. Instead, clean lines and warm colors created a space that felt like home. My home. My phone buzzed. Terrence. Turn on the local news. Now. I grabbed the remote, and there was my father on screen, being led out of his office in handcuffs. The ticker read, Local business executive arrested for financial fraud. Oh, God, Lisa breathed. Did you? No, I said truthfully. His past caught up with him all on its own. Another buzz. Mother calling. I let it go to voicemail. You're not going to help them? Lisa asked. They have a roof over their heads and food on their table. That's more than they ever guaranteed me. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Antonio, carrying a folder and wearing a grim smile. Thought you might want to see this, he said, spreading papers across my new dining table. Your sister's ex-boyfriend's mansion just went into foreclosure. Bank's putting it up for auction next week. Cody's place? Lisa asked. The one he was so proud of? I studied the listing. Prime location, good bones, terrible management. Just like this house had been. Interested? Antonio asked. Always. I pulled out my laptop. Set up the LLC paperwork. Lisa shook her head in amazement. You're really building an empire, aren't you? I'm building something better. I looked around at my transformed childhood prison. I'm building proof. Of what? That their biggest mistake wasn't hurting me. I signed the preliminary paperwork Antonio had prepared. It was underestimating me. My phone buzzed again. A voicemail from Mother. Stacy, please. Your father. We need help. We're family. I deleted it without listening further. Cold, Lisa commented. No, I corrected her. Clear. The security system chimed, warning of approaching visitors. The camera showed Mackenzie, mascara running, pounding on my door. Let her knock, I said, continuing with the paperwork. Stacy, she screamed through the door. Dad's in jail. We need money for his lawyer. I pressed the intercom button. Contact the property manager during business hours if you have concerns about your lease. I'm your sister. No, you're my tenant, and you're trespassing. She slumped against the door, sobbing. What happened to you? I grew up, I replied. Something you never had to do. Eventually, she left. Lisa watched her go, shaking her head. You really don't feel anything? I feel everything, I said. I just don't let it control me anymore. Antonio finished preparing the bid for Cody's mansion. Ready to expand the empire? I signed the final paper, then stood and walked to the window. The garden was blooming, not with Mother's precious roses, but with hardy wildflowers that needed no coddling to thrive. You know what I learned from my family? I asked, watching a butterfly land on one of the flowers. Power isn't about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself. My phone buzzed one last time, a text from Terrence. Your mom's organizing a family intervention. Want me to shut it down? I smiled, thinking of all their interventions over the years, their attempts to fix me, change me, make me fit their mold. No, I texted back. Let them waste their time. I have better things to do. I turned back to Antonio and Lisa. Let's go look at that mansion. I'm thinking it needs a complete renovation. Like this place? Lisa asked. No, I said, heading for the door. Like me. Behind us, the security system armed itself, protecting everything I'd built. Not just the house, but the strength, the clarity, and the unshakable knowledge that sometimes the best revenge isn't making others suffer. It's making yourself unstoppable.